Good afternoon. We're here to announce charges against the two individuals responsible for the murder of Officer Ella French and the shooting of her partner. This is the first step toward justice as we work to honor our fallen officer and her partner. The two offenders are brothers. Emonte Morgan, E-M-O-N-T-E, Morgan, common spelling. He's 21 years old. He's being charged with 1 count of murder in the first degree. He's also being charged with 2 counts of attempted murder of a police officer. His final charge is 1 count of unlawful use of a weapon by a felon. Eric Morgan, E-R-I-C, is 19 years old. He's Emonte's brother, and he's being charged with unlawful use of a weapon by a felon. He's also being charged with 1 count of aggravated unlawful use of a weapon with a prior conviction, as well as obstruction of justice. The young woman who was in the car with the 2 Morgan brothers has not been charged. Each gun recovery is a potential deadly force encounter, as I've said many times at this podium, every Monday after a violent weekend. But we so tragically saw that come to light much more so with the tragic events of Saturday night. So far this year, Chicago police officers, the brave men and women of this fine department, have recovered 7,536 guns. That's a 23% increase over the same period a year ago. And just yesterday, I want to make a note of this. After the tragic events of Saturday, Chicago police officers covered an additional 33 guns last night. Let that sink in. Because every encounter to recover a gun is a potential deadly force encounter. You would think officers would pull back and not do what they have done day in and day out. But you don't know the bravery and courage, commitment and dedication that I know these Chicago police officers exhibit every day to protect the people of Chicago. The gun used in this shooting and this murder of Ella Fitzgerald was illegally possessed and was the product of a straw purchase. 29-year-old Jamil Danzy, that's J-A-M-E-L, Danzy, that's D-A-N-Z-Y, of Hammond, Indiana, purchased the firearm at a federal firearms dealer in Hammond, Indiana in March. Mr. Danzy, he falsely identified himself as the actual buyer on required forms during the purchase, when he was actually the straw purchaser who bought the gun at the request of another individual in Chicago. Danzy knew this individual, Eric Morgan, was not lawfully allowed to purchase a firearm due to a felony criminal conviction. He bought the gun for this individual anyway. The U.S. Attorney's Office today charged Danzy with conspiracy to violate federal firearms laws, including knowingly transferring and giving a firearm to an out-of-state resident and knowingly disposing of a firearm for a convicted felon. He's facing 5 years in the federal system. I'll take just a few questions. 2 charges. The first, knowingly transferring and giving a firearm to an out-of-state resident and knowingly disposing of a firearm to a convicted felon. which means he gave it to a convicted felon, knowing that person wasn't allowed to purchase a firearm legally. Expired plates. So the officer who was shot and injured, who is still in critical condition, is incrementally improving from Saturday night's tragic events. So the offender who is charged with first-degree murder of Ella Fitzgerald struggled with both officers. French. Yeah, I'm sorry, Ella French. And the struggle went from the trunk of the car to near the insides of the car, not necessarily all the way inside. And the shots rang out from that vantage point, from the passenger front seat of the car, which is where he was originally seated in the front passenger seat. So it's quite predictable that we try to find other reasons why this happened, like reverse seniority. There's one reason why this happened. One reason. These two offenders killed Ella French and tried to kill the third and second officers there. That's the only person we're pointing the finger at today. One person did this, not reverse seniority, not any other reasons that this person killed her and tried to kill other officers. And I won't entertain finger pointing at anyone or anything else. They need to be fully held accountable for her murder. Any other questions? We don't have evidence to charge her at any. If we had evidence, we would certainly charge her. I don't know who those some people are, if that's you or somebody actually told you to ask that question. I would just say this, but for the brave conduct of these officers trying to protect the people of Chicago and recovering an illegally possessed gun, what ended up being an illegally bought gun, but for these types of traffic stops, our cities wouldn't be safe. That criminals who possess illegal guns are driving violent crime here and everywhere in this country. And officers put themselves in harm's way stopping suspects like this so that we can all sleep safely in our homes at night. These are dangerous people who don't mind killing officers or people in Chicago. That sounds right, yeah. There has not been, this is a record pace of officers being assaulted with guns by suspects. There's not been a year on record with this level, this number of officers shot at or shot. As you know, last year there were 79 officers shot at or shot, which was a 500% increase from 2019's number. I'm gonna say it how they've said it to me. They feel alone. They feel unsupported. They feel like no one appreciates the work they do. They're human, so they have a lot of expressions of discouragement. And I would just ask the people of Chicago to support their police officers with kind words of support. In addition to that, I think that the people of Chicago need to, if you're a person of faith especially, pray not only for the recovery of our officers fighting for his life, but also pray that these officers will be encouraged to continue to risk their lives for each and every one of you. They would get past this feeling that they have now. A lot of anger, for a lot of reasons, not no one thing, but a lot of anger toward what has been a consistent beatdown of them, not just on social media, from different parts of our society, just constant criticism, hyper-criticism to a certain extent. When they do something well, no acknowledgement, no penetration in the news cycle of their great work for any consistent way, only the criticism of the mistakes they make, without acknowledging the risks they take. Very few headlines of their hard work. Nothing above the fold in print media, consistently of their dedication. Hardly a mention of their bravery and courage. We talk about the guns they recover and every one of them being a deadly force encounter, potentially a life saved. Saturday night, that became more than just words. And we knew that all along, that each one of these guns potentially would kill someone or kill one of our officers trying to do the great work of taking these guns off the street. Not much of that mentioned. The mayor mentioned, let's stop it. It's past time to stop this, imbalanced treatment of police officers here in Chicago and everywhere in this country. We're flawed, just like this media gallery is flawed, just like every profession in our country is flawed. But they go down dark alleys. None of you would go down to protect you. They run toward bullets. Officers hearing over the police radio Saturday night that officers were shot and down, and the offender was shooting at us, ran toward that danger. No one would do that, but these brave men and women run toward bullets being fired, run toward danger of a murder of another officer, run toward that, risking their lives to protect the people of this city. A thank you is in order. I appreciate it. We're still working on that. Thank you, guys.